Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher. Welcome to the Sweetwater Minute. This time out, a new iPad-controlled digital mixer from Mackie. Let's get started. This is the brand new DL32R from Mackie, a 32 by 32 digital mixer that's controllable from iPad. Now, Mackie's been making other iPad controllable digital mixers as well. You may be familiar with the DL806, a smaller format, a tabletop format digital mixer. The DL32R is obviously a rack mount mixer, and it's designed for larger stage performances, for installation into auditoriums. It can be used in house of worship, but it has a couple of very cool features, one of which is you can record all the inputs onto a hard drive that's connected directly to the unit. You can also take the DL32R into your studio and use it as a recording interface with your computer system. Let's dig a little deeper into some of the details on the DL32R. We've got 32 inputs on the front panel. Those are all on XLRs, and those each have a microphone preamp, and those are remote controllable from your iPad. We've also got 14 outputs. Now those are freely assignable, but they're set up by default to be a set of stereo outputs and then 12 individual outputs as well. We've got an AES EBU digital format stereo output, a pair of monitor outputs, and we also have a headphone output with their own volume level on the front panel. Around back, we just have basic connections for hooking in our wireless router, for connecting a hard drive, or hooking up to your computer. But we do have this very cool design where we've got a shelf built into the top of the unit that allows you to place your router and a hard drive right on top, and they've even provided mounting straps for holding those units in place. So that's a tour of basically how you interface with the DL32R. Now, of course, there's more to the console than that. Inside this chassis, we also have the brains of the unit. It provides all the DSP processing, everything that takes care of the mixing, the effects, and everything else that the console can do. Now, all of that is remote controllable from your iPad using Mackie's Master Fader app. Now, the Master Fader app is very easy to use. It's graphically designed so that it's easy to understand what's happening, and it's very easy to navigate as well. On this screen, we have basically an overview of all the channels. We can scroll through all of those. We have our 32 input channels here. Each can be given an icon, each can be given a name. We can solo each channel, we can mute each channel, and we have a fader for controlling its level as well. The Master Fader app offers us total control over each channel's capabilities. So in addition to the mute, solo, and fader, at the top here we also have a section that allows us to do a variety of other things as well. The first screen that we come to gives us control over the aux sends here in this section. We've got 14 auxes available here. We can set the levels for those. And then we have 3 sends, 2 of which are feeding internal reverbs, and 1 is feeding an internal delay. We'll look more at those reverbs and the delay later, but this is where you send signal from each channel into those. We can mute each of the aux sends here. And here's where we actually make our assignments. So we can assign to the main outs, to any of the sub outs. We have VCA groups, mute groups. We can set up other routings to subs. So we have a lot of flexibility for routing each channel to any destinations we want. The top section here is where we set the source that's feeding into each channel. The way it's set up right now is it's assigned to USB. That means that the signal is coming from the hard drive that I have connected to the DL32R. If you were in your studio, that would be the signal returning from your DAW software. Now if we switch the setting for the input here to the A position, now we're accessing what's coming into the front panel of the DL32R. That's where our mic preamps are located. We've got control over the gain, we've got a trim control, we've got phantom power on and off, and we also have polarity reverse. So you have full control over the signal that's coming in via microphone into the DL32R. So this screen is really where we're doing a lot of the channel routing. We're setting our input, we're setting our output, and we're feeding our signal into our auxes. Our next screen gives us access to the equalizer. We have a 4-band parametric EQ with a high-pass filter, and you can adjust that by simply dragging, or you can move each of the parameters as well. Very fast and easy to operate. Now the equalizer actually has 2 different modes. We're looking at it in modern view here where we have those 4 parametric EQ bands and the high-pass filter. If we switch to the vintage view, then we get a 3-band parametric EQ with a high-pass filter, and a little bit different algorithm is being used for the EQ there, so you can really tailor each channel to the equalization style that you want. Scrolling up, next we come to the dynamic section. We've got a gate and we've got a compressor, and again those have modern and they have vintage modes. So we can change those in any combination that we want on any of the channels. We're just changing for this channel, we're not changing all the other channels, so you can independently assign those different modes on each of the channels. Now we have a lot of control here. You've got attack time, you've got release time, threshold settings, hold settings for the gate, and under the compressor we have attack, release, ratio, we've got threshold, gain controls, so you really have all the controls you need for compressing and gating your signal however you like. If we scroll up again, we'll get our effects. We have 2 different reverb processors inside the DL32R, and we also have a delay processor. Now the reverbs offer a variety of different modes, each of which is represented by an icon. So we've got ambience, we can change that to a plate reverb, we also have a cathedral, we have a hall. So whatever type of reverb you want, You can pull it up here in the DL32R, and then we have control over the parameters as well. Pre-delay, dampening, decay, roll-off. You can set the amount of send for each channel, so you have a lot of control over each of those two reverbs. Down here in the delay, we have a variety of different modes for that as well. We've got tape echo, we've got a mono echo, ping pong echo, multi-tap delays, control over the parameters, and we also have a tap tempo for the delay here. We can set up our send amount, and there is a meter for each of those as well. When we're finished with our settings for the channel, we just click here to return back to our mixer view, and again we can access all the channels very simply, very easily here. Now when we tap on this icon up here in the way upper left, that will take us to an overview of what's happening inside the console. We've got a fader and we've got a meter for each of those functions. So here we've got our auxes, here we've got our effects, we've got our inputs, we've got our master output up here. So everything can be viewed very quickly and very easily. Now from this screen we can instantly jump to any of the input channels, any of the auxes, any of the subs, the master outs by just tapping on one of these faders. So if we tap on a channel, it brings us to all the settings for that particular channel. Now we can go back here to our overview screen. We can look at the main outputs. You can see the different assignments, the VCAs, the mute groups that are there for the main outputs. We can jump over here and look at the send for one of the effects devices. So we've got our fader for that, and we've got our mute group for that as well. So a lot of control is instantly under your fingertips in that overview page. We really have a fully featured mixer with the DL32R. Under iPad control, we've got 36 inputs. That's a combination of 32 hardware inputs. Those are stereo linkable for stereo signals. And we have 4 returns that are also stereo linkable for bringing your effects or other signals back in. From an output standpoint, we have 28 output buses, and we have 14 stereo linkable aux sends. We've also got our master left-right outputs. We have 6 VCAs, 6 mute groups, 6 stereo linkable matrix buses, and 6 stereo linkable subgroups as well. You have full I/O capability for routing any of the signals that are coming in, whether it's from the front panel or from USB, to any of those sources, so you have a lot of routing capability, all freely assignable here. Now all the routing is set up using a screen here. We'll tap on that to open it. And this shows us all the inputs and all the outputs. We can scroll through those, and we can freely assign those wherever we like. We have 2 sets of inputs. We have from our USB and then from the front panel. We also have our output routing here, and you can see that you can route more than one signal to those. We also have built-in talkback capability, and we can route that talkback mic here to any of these outputs. Now for controlling all those extra functions like the mute groups, the VCAs, the subgroups, and the matrix, you simply click over here. You can choose what mix you're looking at. We're looking at drums here, guitars, so we can have submixes. We can look at the left-right. We can look at our VCAs. Here's our bass VCA. We can come back over here. We can look at mute groups. So here you can see the different mute groups that we have. So it's very easy to instantly jump to those and call up exactly what you want to look at. Here we've got a subgroup for drums, for example. Notice that when you select one of these functions, whether it's a subgroup, a mute group, a VCA, whatever it might be, the channels that are affected by that pop up instantly on the left side of the screen. Now one other thing we should talk about here, and that's that not only do we have all of this DSP capability in all the input channels, we also have it on all those buses, the master outs, etc. So we've got our parametric EQ here. We can have it in vintage or modern mode. We have our compressor. Here we have a routing matrix. And if you're on the master output, we also have a graphic EQ. So let's jump back over here. We'll open that up. You can see the graphic EQ is here. Now we can look at that with everything on one screen. It's a 32-band EQ. We can do it at double width where you see half of it, and then you can scroll through the different settings. You can draw settings very quickly and very easily. We can easily reset. And we also can store presets for the graphic EQ, and you can recall those instantly. So if you're playing the same venue multiple times, you can store a preset for that venue. Next time you show up, just recall the preset and you're ready to go. All right, so let's close this up. We'll go back to our channel view. We also have quick access to some of our master controls. So if we click here, we can clear solos instantly. So if there's a track solo that's not on the screen, you need to figure out where it is, you can just quickly hit clear solo and it'll clear all the solos on all the channels. We can mute our 2 reverbs, we can mute our delay. We've got tap tempo for the delay here, and we also can access our talkback mic. So just clicking on that turns on the talkback mic. Now one other great feature of the DL32R is that it's also a recorder. If we connect a hard drive by USB to the unit itself, we can record directly into it. We just hit the record button here. That'll open up a screen, shows us what we're recording. We're doing multi-channel playback. Now we've got this set up for 24-track recording. In the next version of software that comes out, we're expecting to see 32-track recording enabled. So when you connect a hard drive, you'll be able to record 32 simultaneous tracks as well as play back 32 simultaneous tracks. Now you can also use the DL32R for music playback, so if you want to play break music when your band's not on stage, you can do that from this screen here as well. Another benefit of the onboard recording and playback capability is virtual sound check. Just record your band as a multi-track recording onto the hard drive. When you go into a venue, play that recording back, use it to dial in all your settings on your PA system and on the console. Then when the band takes the stage for a sound check, you're basically ready to go. All you have to do is just finely tweak any details that might need to be adjusted. Now when the system is on stage, you have some other benefits as well. You don't need a snake, because you can place this right on stage with you and plug your microphone straight into it and connect it into your PA system. So you're saving all of that wire run. You don't need a front of house position because you control everything from your iPad, whether you're on stage or out in the audience. So your sound man can be out hearing exactly what it sounds like in the room, or you can be controlling it from on stage. Now you can connect actually up to 10 different iOS devices at once. I've got 2 iPad Airs connected here. They're both fully functional and each can take control. You can lock out certain functions, so if you only want certain people to be able to access certain mixes, you can set it up that way. And each performer can have control over their own monitor mix. So you can have those 10 iPads or iPhones hooked up, everybody can control their monitor mix, you can have your sound man out in the hall or be running things from on stage. It's all wireless, very flexible, very simple, really is a powerful system. I hope you've enjoyed this look at the Mackie DL32R digital mixer. It's a very easy mixer to get around on, but it offers so much capability. Having that 32 by 32 recording capability, 32 built-in microphone preamps, all of that routing, really is a flexible and powerful mixer. Thanks for joining me for the Sweetwater Minute. I'm Mitch Gallagher.